This is it, a can't-miss game and a backdrop to match the special occasion. The fans had this one circled on their calendars long ago, and now it's a matter of who will dominate on the pitch. Big characters on the big stage. What a prospect. All the action coming up next here on EA TV.
A warm welcome to the South London stronghold that is Selhurst Park. I'm Guy Mowbray. Alongside me is the former England striker Sue Smith. And we've got live Premier League action for you today. It's Crystal Palace versus Arsenal.
Hello, welcome back to Armchair Armory. And this is incredibly weird because I'm doing a preview for a game that feels like we've just done. I know the game that we did do was in the Carabao Cup. We won that 3-2 against, of course, Crystal Palace. In the space of 3 days, we are playing them. The only other time I can remember this happening was around the 2003, I think it was the Invincible season, maybe the season after, I'm not sure. But we used to play Middlesbrough a lot, put it that way. Like there was at least a couple of seasons where we would play Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, Middlesbrough I think one season we played them 4 times, I'm pretty sure of it. I know there was one season where we definitely played them in the League Cup and obviously the 2 games in the league. So, yeah, this is sort of what it reminds me of. In the space of 4 days or 3 or 4 days, we're playing Crystal Palace again, this time at Selhurst Park. Now, I think I said this on Wednesday after when I was reacting to the game, to the Carabao Cup game. It's been a bit of a bogey round for us as of late. I think in the last, let me have a look actually. At the last couple of times we played them, I think it's not been too bad in the most recent years, but like there has been times where, you know, we've not done too well there. So yeah, to be fair, the last 4 out of 5 times we've won, we've beat them, and we have in those last 5. 3 of those were at Selhurst Park, and we won 2 and lost 1. So the 3-0 is the one that sticks out to me that I remember the most. There was also, we lost 3-0 to them under Unai Emery as well, and under Arsene Wenger. I remember there was a period where we couldn't beat them. And to be fair, like the 2 times that we have beaten them, it hasn't been like, you know, we beat them 2-0 in August 2022. And we beat them 1-0 in August 2023. So it's not like it's been, you know, domination or whatever. So it's been 2-0 is a little bit more of a clear scoreline than 1-0, but still it's not been like the most, especially the 1-0, it's not been the most like convincing win on paper anyway. So yeah, and on top of that, I have my little superstition of when you have to play a team 3 times in a season, you're going to lose at least one of those. We've got that with Man United this season now. We've already played them in the league at the Emirates, beat them 2-0. We're playing them in early January, or like sort of early to mid-January in the FA Cup 3rd round. And then obviously we've got them in the league at Old Trafford towards the end of the season. So yeah, it's going to happen there as well. And I feel like that I always forget Crystal Palace's the new manager's name. Glasner. So yeah, I can imagine Glasner's going to play a lot stronger team than. Well, to be fair, he actually went quite strong in the Carabao Cup game, but Simon Jordan on TalkSport made a really good point. Actually, he was saying how he couldn't believe how Glasner was taking off like their best players when they're in a quarter-final of a League Cup, which if you remember, I said in the preview that this is sort of the biggest thing of their season. So yeah, I can imagine he wants to go full strength for the league. I can imagine most of the people like Eze and Mateta and players like that will probably play 90 minutes. Obviously, we'll have people like Gabriel back, we'll have Saka back, we'll have Havertz back in, even though there is I've seen that there's been a call for Gabriel Jesus. It really annoys me when, and this is what I was saying the other day when I was doing the preview for the Palace Carabao Cup game. the sort of flip-flopping within the fan base. You know, one week they're like, Gabriel Jesus is shit, we should sell him, and then the following week they're like, Gabriel Jesus is amazing, he should start. And then if he starts and doesn't do anything, they'll be saying Arteta's a fool, why did he start him, and Gabriel Jesus needs to be sold in January, and all this sort of stuff. He did play really well, and it was a little bit of a redemption arc for him on Wednesday. But yeah, I don't know if I would start him as such, because I mean, it's a difficult one, because Kai Havertz hasn't been playing well, hasn't been as good as he was last season so far. He scored goals, but he's not scored nearly as prolific as consistently as he was last season. And it might be the case that Arteta needs to change things up. There's a lot of people calling for that. There's a lot of people saying he needs to change things up. He needs to do something different. And I think the two areas I think we need to potentially change things the most is the right wing. No, not the right wing. The left wing, sorry, where Martinelli normally plays, and down the middle. Trossard doesn't normally start well when he starts a game. He's normally better off the bench. I just think if Martinelli can stop doing that, and I love Theo Walcott. He was one of my favourite players. I think he's from what I've seen of him and seen in interviews, he seems like a really nice guy. He's a 100 club, 100 goal Premier League goals. I think he scored over 100. He must have done by now, or by the time he retired. But yeah, he was one of Arsenal's mainstays for a long time. Came to us very, very young. But the one thing I always used to find really annoying about him is that he was always offside, and he would never release the ball quick enough. When he scored really good goals, but there were times, particularly in the latter stages of his career at Arsenal, where he would take the ball, similar to Martinelli, run to the byline, and then run out of space and concede a goal kick or something like that. It used to happen so often that it was infuriating. So that's what I'm starting to see with Martinelli quite a lot. That Martinelli will beat a man and he'll get to the byline, and instead of releasing the ball, passing it back, or crossing it, he'll try and, with very, very little space, he'll try and beat the defender. He always tries to dart into the box and do like a low cross into the box. But yeah, most of the time it doesn't work. It seems like most defenders have figured that out. Trossard is a little bit more direct. He tends to sort of float into the middle and go forward. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. Like the whole argument of like, do you start Trossard or do you start Martinelli? He'll be up against Tyrick Mitchell, I think. So I would probably say Martinelli for this game, but yeah, it's a tough one. And then the argument becomes, do you start Jesus or do you start Havertz? I think Arteta's going to probably start Havertz, because that's why he didn't play on Wednesday. I think he probably will start Havertz, because I feel like, I don't know, it's a tough one. I just think that Arteta won't gamble. I think he won't gamble Gabriel Jesus for this game. I'll be very surprised if he's playing. I forgot to mention as well in the reaction that Sterling had quite a good game. Maybe I did, I don't know. But yeah, Sterling had quite a good game as well on Wednesday. I don't think he'll start, but yeah, he had quite a good game. I hope that we're going to start seeing Sterling. I'm starting to think, I'm not sure if I'm the first person to think this, I'm starting to think that there's something in his contract where this loan contract, where if he plays at this part of the season or something, we have to pay some sort of compensation or some sort of money. So I think that's probably, I don't know, it just feels weird that he hasn't played or he hasn't come off the bench at all. And maybe from January, from the new year, we will start seeing him more often, maybe from this game, who knows. But yeah, and then obviously the other problems we have are in the wing back positions. Ben White's out until probably the end of January, at the earliest. And then, we keep getting recurring injuries to Calafiori. So at the moment, it's like Timber and Partey. as our wing backs. And Partey's done all right. I mean, I think people have been obviously that's one of the things that's been laboured at Arteta's door. Why are you playing our best midfielder this season at right back? And it's like, well, that's the only option he has, number one. And to be fair, he's done okay when I sound like league judges. He's done okay. He's done okay. He's played all right at that position, particularly against Man City. He played very well. Was it Man City or Liverpool? I think it was Liverpool. And he played well the other night against Palace. So he's done okay there. It's just that he's, obviously not a natural right back, and he obviously would flourish a lot more in the midfield. There's also question marks over whether Declan Rice works as that left 8 midfielder. He's not been as good as he was last season. I will give you that, but I think I'd rather have Declan Rice playing than not playing. Put it that way. I think it'd be interesting to see whether one of these days, because again, there's argument to say there's people that were saying that the midfield that they thought Arteta was going to play throughout the season, if he was fit, was Merino, Ødegaard, and Rice, and I don't think that's the case. I think Partey's just sort of like made that 6 role his own, and I can't see Arteta moving Rice into that defensive midfield position. I can't see it happening, but I'd be interested to see who he would play alongside Ødegaard if he put Rice in that position. I imagine him probably Jorginho or Merino probably. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But one thing I do know is that obviously the players that didn't start the game in the Carabao Cup will probably start the game. Apart from maybe Gabriel Jesus. He did start the game. What am I talking about? The ones that didn't start the game in the Carabao Cup will probably start the game in the league on Saturday. As I said, an evening kickoff against Palace at Selhurst Park hasn't really gone that well for us in previous seasons. In fact, Crystal Palace is something that there's 2 things I always think about with Crystal Palace. No, 3 things. The first one is obviously Simon Jordan, because he was famous for being the owner there. And he gets a lot of stick for how he sort of failed Simon, if you ever see this, I'm not saying that you failed, I'm just quoting what other people say. I just think they do that to try and rile you up. But saying that he failed as an owner. And then the other 2 things is it always reminds me of being a kid when I first started getting into football, and the Panini sticker books that you used to get, and I remember thinking that Crystal Palace's emblem was really cool, and this was when they were they've always sort of been mid-table, but this was when they were sort of mid to relegation time, around 94, 95. So I wasn't really an Arsenal supporter until 97, 98, or 96, 97. Around that time was when I first started liking football because of Ian Wright, who incidentally played for Palace. I always used to thought that if those of you that are fucking older than 30 will probably remember this, but you used to get on each page there was each club, all of the 20 clubs from the Premier League, and on each club page there was a section for the club's logo, the club's crest, and that was what we would call a shiny. And when you would be on the playground at school, you'd keep your overs every time you brought stickers and stuff like that. A pack of stickers, which used to be about 4 for £1, I think it was. My mum used to get me them every time she went shopping, and you'd have doubles, and you'd go to school the next day with all your doubles and swap those over, and the shinies were really rare. And I think the rarest one was actually the Arsenal shiny. I remember the Arsenal shiny and David Seaman were the 2 rarest in the time that I was collecting stickers. I did it for about 4 or 5 years. After, unfortunately, my mum passed away, I think I tried to do it for another year. And I'm not going to go into that, but it was more difficult for various reasons. So what was I saying? yeah, so there's that. And then the final thing that I always think of is the very first time I ever came across AFTV was when we drew 1-1 to Palace at the Emirates. I forget which season that was, but it was, I think Alexis Sanchez scored for us, and then, was it Alexis Sanchez? It might have been. Yeah, 2016. That looks about right. Yeah, it was Alexis Sanchez. I was right. Yeah, so Alexis Sanchez scored for us, and then Yannick Bolasie. You remember him? Yannick Bolasie scored 81st minute, I want to say. Yeah, he scored before the end of the game, and that was the first time I ever came across AFTV. That was the first time I ever came across the quote-unquote Wenger out movement. That was the first time I ever experienced any of that. And the first video was Troops. The first video I ever saw was Troops, like, you know, doing what Troops does, which some people like. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I didn't know that there were fans out there that hated Arsene Wenger, and this was like way before I'd even thought about Arsene Wenger leaving the club. At that point, I always thought he'll just retire, which on the face of it, he kind of did, even though he was probably internally sacked. But yeah, I always thought that. So I never really sat there thinking there's a chance that Arsene Wenger could be sacked. But that was the first time I came across sort of the animosity towards Arsene Wenger. I'm not blaming it on Troops or saying that it's him or anything like that, but that was the first time I saw the rise of AFTV, so to speak. Which, you know, in the last week or so, I've seen a lot of memes going back saying, oh yeah, AFTV's back now, banned to Arsenal are back. Maybe not. I hope not, but you never know. They don't help themselves, some of these Arsenal fans. But anyway, yeah, that's sort of my memories of Crystal Palace. My three, well, the two are more sentimental than obviously Simon Jordan, but yeah, those are the two big memories I remember of Crystal Palace. In terms of what I think's going to happen, I don't know, because again, the evening kickoffs against Palace at Selhurst Park don't normally go well. The crowd always seem really up for it. They've always got a good atmosphere there. We've just got to start really quickly. I think we've got to start really quickly and try and get an early goal, preferably from open play. Yeah, we've got to try and score early, because I think I was saying to my manager today at work, who's an Ipswich Town fan, because obviously we're playing them after Christmas or just after Boxing Day, the day after Boxing Day, and he was saying, oh, that's probably a game we're going to lose. I said, oh, you don't count, because our home form has been awful, and all you have to do to frustrate Arsenal is just score a goal and then just sit back, and if we can't break you down, it's going to be very hard for us to get back into the game. So that's the thing. They will, I mean, they're at home, so they might be a bit more free-flowing, but they will frustrate at times. And I think, yeah, in order for us to get the front foot, we need to score early, in the first 20 minutes, I'd say. In terms of score prediction, as I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to do that anymore, because every time I do that, it goes wrong. Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I think it's important that there's as well as the win, there's a performance as well, because I think that's one of the things that's really pissed people off recently, is the amount, the sort of lackluster performances against Fulham and Everton. So I think we need a performance as well as the win. In the context of the league, I don't think it really makes that much of a difference right now. Obviously a win is always good, but you know, Liverpool at the moment 6 points ahead of us, Chelsea 4 points ahead of us, Forest 2 points behind us, City 3 points behind us. We have to win to pull away from Forest. Liverpool could be a difficult game. Liverpool are playing Spurs at I almost said Shite Hart Lane, at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Chelsea are playing Everton away, which is, a lot of fans say, is the barometer for whether you can challenge for a title or not, is beating Everton at Goodison Park. Obviously, we've got Palace away. Nottingham Forest have Brentford away. Sorry, we've got Palace away. Brentford have got Nottingham Forest have got Brentford away, and City are playing Villa away. So yeah, it's quite an interesting weekend, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, if all the teams won, we'd basically be where we are, full stop. So really, we're looking for Chelsea to drop points, Liverpool to drop points, Forest to drop points, and us to win. But it's probably not gonna. Obviously, it's not gonna happen. And we've got a lot of hard games coming up. I would say the Ipswich game is also just as hard as Brentford away and Brighton away, to be honest. I'd actually say, because I can imagine a lot of fans are thinking, yeah, that's an easy 3 points. And again, we don't normally do very well against Premier League new boys. Remember what happened at Brentford away when they're in their first Premier League game. So yeah, I'm not going to predict a score, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend, put it that way. Hopefully, it's 3 points for us, and a bit and drop points for Chelsea and Liverpool. We've got to take advantage now. We've got to just do our job and get on with things. Right, I'm going to leave it there because I've actually spoken for nearly 20 minutes. I've actually been doing that quite a lot recently, which I never thought I'd be able to. When I started this 4 years ago, I never thought I'd be filling 20 minutes of talking. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I will be back again after the game on Saturday. I'll be in a different location though, because I'm going to be visiting family for Christmas. So yeah, until then, take care and stay safe.